All right. Hello, traders. How was your week? Hope you guys had a very lovely trading experience last week, as I did. And yes, last week was the last 2, 3 weeks have actually been very, very good. And then for those that have been following my activities in the channel, you would observe that for some while, activity slowed down in the channel. And the reason for this was because I was going to be concentrating on trading so as to meet with the threshold for the trade copy service that is going to be coming soon. And yesterday was August 2nd, 2025. On a Saturday, we had a meeting where I explained to you guys what are the expectations for the trade copy services that will be coming soon, which is, something that is going to be very, very awesome and a great life changing experience in the Forex market niche. And I couldn't just wait for me to be able to, explain it to you guys, which was why had that meeting yesterday. And I'm sure that you guys had a very wow experience during that meeting. So, for and the reason why that copy trade service was very essential, or why I decided to go that route, is because of my understanding or the survey result from people that are in the channel. Many people actually would prefer trades copy service because sometimes the trade signals that are being given comes with very tight SL that there are not much enough room for people to be able to take trades with that signal, having about 10 to 15 pips stop loss before traders enter that. Its price may have moved and others. So and then giving a trade signals that will be about 40 to 50 pips, is not what I'm going to be trading with currently. That's why I just had to pause that for now. And then, yes, so the trade copy service will be commencing very soon. I'm going to be giving updates in a group. So if you are not part of the channel yet, or the group that has been open for that purpose, you want to check the bottom description of this video. A link is will be posted there so that you can join the channel, and then you'll be able to get all the necessary information there. And also, if you are very new to this channel, very new to this channel on YouTube, you want to support by liking this video and also sharing. And you may also want to subscribe to this channel so that anytime video has been posted, you get the first hand information immediately. So now, starting from here, the reason why I want to start from here is because I want to first show the trade activities so far for the copy trade service that is going to be starting. And for me, I want to be focusing on US dollars related pairs, US dollars related pairs, because as you can see, those were the ones that actually gave much more profits, the most so far, including euro yen. And so for me, I want to concentrate on analyzing those pairs, while the other ones, though not that bad, the losses there are not that bad, but then the spread for them are quite high compared to US dollar related pairs. So, which is why the market and outlook that I'll be doing right now, I'm going to be shrinking it. I'm going to be shortlisting it to US dollars related pairs. So, um, So also, if you were part of the meeting of yesterday, I made mention of the fact that the trade signals, the what do you call it, the trade copy is going to be coming with very strict risk management protocol. And for every trade, it has been set to only 0.35%. So that means that we are only just going to be looking at a maximum of 3.5% loss in a day, and then try to target 1 to 2% for every trade being taken. So let's quickly go to the business of the day, which we are going to start now. I'll try to make it as brief as possible, since I'm just going to be focusing on the US dollar related pairs, and then I'll start with USD as usual. Last That's on Friday. Last week on Friday, there was NFP. NFP resulted to this move to the upside before price eventually then made that correction. So this is a weekly time frame of the dollar index chart. And right here, I'm looking at the possibility of, as you can see, price have actually been moving bearish, correcting and then moving bearish. Most likely, this is the correction up to this point, and then we should expect much more movement to the downside. Let me try to change this to maybe something lighter, and yeah, okay. So for me, I'll be looking at a weak USD. Even before price actually did its move to the downside, I was able to spot a harmonic pattern right here, which was I think it was going to be the butterfly pattern. Yeah, it was the butterfly pattern. So price respected that butterfly pattern perfectly on that Friday when the news event happened. The news event happened, and USD, it turned out to be a weak USD. It turned out to be that the fundamentals supported weakness in the USD. So we have this first move to the downside. And then, as usual, wave on wave analysis, price moving waves when it makes an impulse. When it makes an impulse move, as you can see like this, when it makes an impulse move, most likely it's going to correct that move so that it can then make the next impulse move. So right now, the expectation for USD is bearish, but at the interim, based on price action on the 1 hour time frame right here, we will expect that this is going to be the neckline. We expect that this is going to be the neckline where the weekly resistance one is. So at market open, there's every tendency that price is going to first come here. And then when it gets there, that's the weakness continue for a little time. Then when it comes here, you expect some kind of pushback up. After that pushback up, that is when we should then expect more weakness on the USD. So for me, I'm going to be watching out. I'm going to be using my currency strength meter. I'm going to be using it to know exactly when to get into the trade for the USD. That means that when USD becomes weakest, when USD right now, USD is the weakest around here, and so yeah, so pardon me. So right now, USD was the weakest around here, and then if that is also the case by the time we have market open at some time, and then I'm getting to see the signals for US dollar weakness, I'll be looking forward to selling. But if US dollar becomes the strongest around here, and then the technical analysis shows that price is around here and it's going to be pushing up, then I will be looking at taking trades that support the strength of USD up to this zone. And then after I get to this zone, that is when I'll then start looking forward to selling USD. So with that, let's look at the next one and relate it with the US dollars index. So this is the yen index. For the yen index, starting from the weekly time frame, which seems to be in a corrective structure right here. It seems to be in a corrective structure right here. And then we also have an harmonic pattern that has that has surfaced here. You have an harmonic pattern that has surfaced here. And so there's every tendency that this is going to be going down. And remember, this is negatively correlated to the LFX. So it means that the movement to the downside means that yen is strong. So now let's look at how that can play on the lower time frame. On the lower time frame, we have this price have gotten to this point right here. So those like I told you, let's go to the 4 hours time frame and then possibly the 1 hour time frame. So like I told you, price moving waves. So when it makes impulse, when it makes this kind of swing, sharp movement, there's every tendency that it's going to be correcting that movement. So when price gets to this point, you should expect some kind of correction to the upside. Nobody knows where exactly it's going to stop and then start going down. But most of the time, we usually try to look at price correcting about 50 to 61.8% retracement. So with that, we can look at the possibility of price retracing up to this zone. So if price retreats up to this zone, and then we have our indicator giving us a sell signal, then we should be expecting strength on the Japanese yen. And then by that time, we should expect that the Japanese yen will be ranked higher among all the currency pairs. And so that's when can then be looking for a buy or sell opportunity on US dollar Japanese yen. So this is the structure of US dollar Japanese yen. Let's look at the 4 hours and the daily time frame. So on Friday, I was expecting that price would get here to get to this green zone before selling off, but it didn't really get there because of NFP before this happened. Most especially because the NFP release is the news release for USD on Friday doesn't support dollar strength. So that was why this came down sharply. And so as it is, we should expect some retracement on this. Most likely, let's look at where price is currently for this one. Price should be around the 61.8 and then maybe maximum 78.6. So I'll just put my line here, which is where I expect price to probably get to and then make a pullback. Probably gets to and then make a pullback. So so the thing is this, the way to approach it is this. For the US dollars, when price is moving down in this manner, we should expect that the there's this when price is moving down in that manner, we should expect that US dollar Japanese yen should sell a little. But I'm not going to be interested in that sell because the risk reward ratio is not going to be that much, just around 30 pips. It doesn't make sense trading that. But now the good one that we want to be able to look at is when US dollar become weak. That means when when US dollar becomes strong, when US dollar start going up. And then at that time, we could see that Japanese yen is also getting some weaknesses. Then we can, and by the time you look at here, you could see that US dollar is ranked higher and then Japanese yen is ranked lower. So at that time, we can then look at buying US dollar Japanese yen, possibly up to the 50 to 61% retracement of this move to the downside. So I'll be looking at price possibly buying up to this point, and then after that we'll be looking forward to selling it all the way down. So what is going to be the pips amount so that I will know how to enter that trade by market open? That should be this. Okay, so something around from here to this point should be giving us about 260 pips. So with that, we can be able to, risk little and then be able to target high. So that is that for US dollars, Japanese yen. So the next one right there is The next one right there is pounds. So for pounds, as usual, we are going to start from the daily or weekly time frame. On the daily time frame, price seems to be um, bearish so far. Price moving all the way down, correcting that movement, all the way down, correcting that movement, all the way down. There's every tendency that it will correct that movement before it then continues the move to the downside. And I see that there's a possibility of price going all the way to this point. That is how, I combine support and resistance, wave analysis, and all that. So with this one, we are going to be looking for so anytime US dollars become weak, there's every tendency that GDP USD will be buying. And then when US dollars become strong, there's every tendency that this will then continue to be weak. So now let's go to what we can, our understanding. Using this understanding, let's go to what we can see on the GDP USD chart. GDP USD should be this, and then we start from maybe the daily time frame. So from the daily time frame, price seems to be making an AB equals to the CD pattern and then ending around this neckline. So I'm going to be taking the Fibonacci retracement tool to measure the distance from this low to that high, which is where we have the 161.8% ending. And then I'm also going to be taking the same and then measuring from this to that point. And so you should expect price to extend somewhere around here, which is where we're going to be getting our entry from. So the best way to trade this is to assume that the whole of this region right here. So assume that the whole of this region right here is the neckline for a pullback. So price pulling back up. That's it when GDP is strong and US dollar is weak. And then when US dollar becomes very strong and GDP becomes quite weak, then we should expect a possibility of price breaking below to crash away this neckline. And this is most likely going to be happening if we have any news that's going to be supporting the weakness of pounds for the coming week. So let's go to the expectation for this week. Fundamental expectation for this and see whether we have pounds. Okay, we have pounds news coming on Thursday on the 7th. You can see GDP, monetary rates, official bank rate, and all that. So this then suggests that if the fundamental results that is released on that Thursday does not support GBP, then you should expect weakness that may eventually force price to crash this neckline area. So that's what that's how we're going to be approaching that. That's how we're going to be approaching this. So we'll be on the watch out. I think for the sake of I don't know. I think this is trying to hang. Let me see why. Okay, should be good now. Okay, I wasn't taking the right tool. So for the sake of let me take that away. So for the sake of for me to be able to remember that there's going to be a news on Thursday, I'll just put news and the news Thursday. So that when I come to the chart at any time, make it red and then possibly give it maybe 50. News on Thursday. So now the news on Thursday is what we may expect that may force price to, break below this neckline. But the way to trade is going to be quite very simple. By the time GBP becomes very USD, sorry, by the time USD becomes very weak, we should expect, and GBP become very strong, we should expect some buy around here, and then let's look at where we most likely buy it up to, and measure. So it should be giving us about 200 pips roughly. So I'll be looking forward to buying pounds here if it shows some rejections around that point. But if it doesn't and come down to this zone, come down to that area right there, then this becomes the this become the area where price shouldn't go below for us to be able to go long. So that is how I'm going to be approaching trading that pair. The next one right there is Euro index. So for Euro index, from the weekly time frame, this seems to have been, you know, moving up, and then there's every tendency that it has made that correction and going to continue the bullish trend. So with that, let's look at what we have on the daily time frame and then the weekly, the 4 hours time frame. So now what then happened here is this, that price made this impulse and then it has made this correction. There's every tendency that it's going to come to retest this zone before we eventually have that proper buy. The Fibonacci retracement level of this move to the downside is around the 50 to 61.8%, which is very good. And so with that, we may expect price to eventually then sell off a little from there. But if that sell is not going to be happening, then we should expect price, to start making some side of sideways correction right here, which suggests that we can then start looking for buy opportunities. So whichever the case, for me, I will be expecting euro weakness a little, especially when US dollar becomes strong. You know that at some point we are expecting US dollars to become strong. So when US dollar becomes strong, we should expect the sell off on Euro USD. And then after that, when US dollars start become weak, then we can expect to then start looking for buy on Euro USD. So using that, let's go to our chart on Euro USD and then look at what to expect based on price action. So based on price action on the weekly time frame, we seem to retest a resistance level that is now going to be a support zone. On the daily time frame, price made its move to the downside and then making a pullback. There's every tendency that the bullish trend has not started yet, so you should expect some sell possibly up to this point. And then after that, we can start looking at buying it. So for me, yes, we have an A because of the CD pattern here, A, B, C, D. And then there's every tendency that we're going to be having another A, B, C, D before price eventually then sell off. Here, this become a new A, this become the B, and then the C around here. And then the D heading somewhere around here. And then after that, we can start looking for buying it. So I'll try to see if it's something I want to sell. Let me see what that will be giving us. That should, yeah, make sense. About over 300 pips. So if we are able to get some self signal around here, so we're looking forward to selling that, and then after that, we can then look forward to buying it. So the next one is Swiss francs. For Swiss francs, it has been bullish all this while. It has been bullish all this while. And so I was expecting that, at some point that this is going to be slowing down, but it's not looking like it's going to be slowing down yet. So the price action right here seems to suggest that we are still going to be having some movement to the upside before that happens. So for me, Swiss francs, some strength possibly up to this point. If it doesn't go beyond that point, it may come all the way down to continue the flag setup before eventually then go up. So at the point that US dollars become weak, you may expect that price may slow down a little. And then when at the point that US dollar become weak, we may expect that price pushed up a little up to that point. And then when US dollar becomes strong, you may expect this to happen. So we are looking at some possibility of strength and then weakness on the US dollar Swiss francs. So let's look at that. US dollar Swiss francs should be this. So this is what we have on the 4 hours time frame. It's still loading. Yeah, so this is what we have on the 4 hours time frame. And so I think I want to start with the weekly to understand the price action. So this look much more bearish in my eyes. This look much more bearish in my eyes. And then, yeah, so we should be looking at the possibility of bearish continuation for that. On the daily time frame, I'm not sure this structure is completed yet. There's every tendency that price, when US dollar becomes very strong, that price gets all the way to this top. And then when US dollar become quite weak, we should then expect that sell-off at that point. Oh, okay, yeah, that's very correct. We should then expect that sell-off at that point. Yeah. So let's look at how that can play out. Possibility of price stopping here when US dollar becomes very strong so that we can get the next move to the upside, which most likely would be about 170 pips. It's not bad. So if we get to see a buy opportunity around here, then we are going to be looking at going with that buy setup, and then after that we can then look out for the sell. So the next one there is CAD. For CAD, weekly time frame, what we have there, bearish. Daily time frame, price seems to just be trading within something that looks like a triangle. And then within that, we also still have this. We also still have this right there. So for the 4 hours time frame, let me move this closer. So for the 4 hours time frame, price seems to be trading lower, in this manner. And let's go to the 1 hour. On the 1 hour time frame, we had price move all the way down here, made a little correction, and then coming all the way to that spot. So there's every tendency that we are going to be having a sell-off up to this zone before price make a major retracement. So for me, I'm looking at weakness on US dollar on CAD. I'm looking at a general weakness on CAD, but let's look at the structure of US dollar CAD. So yes, US dollar CAD, we have an harmonic pattern that may have formed on the 4 hours time frame, on the daily time frame, sorry. Yeah, on the daily time frame where this happened, much more like the butterfly pattern that I explained before. Let me confirm that with the Fibonacci. That should be 127.2 and then 78 to 88.6. Okay. So we had an harmonic pattern that ended around that spot, and then price made this push to the downside. So what I'm expecting right now is I'm expecting some kind of push up a little, and then after that, price coming all the way down to this point, especially when US dollar becomes weak. But when US dollar becomes strong and CAD becomes very, very weak, it depends on how it plays. If CAD becomes very weak and US dollar becomes quite strong, then you should expect price to most likely even break the initial high before eventually then start selling when CAD becomes strong. So I'll be watching out for the currency strength to check when US dollar becomes very strong and CAD becomes very weak, so that I can then take that So the next one there is going to be the odd and New Zealand. For the odd, they have very similar structure. From the daily time frame, you should expect that price should complete this all the way down to this point. All the way down to this point. So I'm expecting much more weakness from this pair, much more weakness on this pair. So at any time that US dollar becomes very, very strong, there's every tendency that this may happen. And then at any time that US dollar becomes very weak, when US dollar becomes very weak, there's every tendency that this may happen. But during the time that when US dollar becomes very strong, there's every tendency that it's going to be stronger than Australian dollar, and then this may sell off up to that point. So with that, let's look at what we have on the AUD USD chart. AUD USD should be here. And so from the daily time frame, they have very similar structure, both for the index and also for the currency pair. So I'm expecting price to retrace all the way down to that point. So expected price action, price coming all the way to this point, and then after that we look for a sell to that zone. It should be giving us how many pips? Should be giving us about 120 pips roughly. Then last but not the least, which is going to be okay. I'll at the second to the last because I need to analyze gold chart. So for this one, we have very similar structure for New Zealand as we have it on US Australian. However, for this, we don't expect that price should go below this level where we have a major support zone. So I'm not going to be looking at taking lots of trade on New Zealand yet. The reason is because the amount of pips is most likely going to be very small, about 70 points, which may not be giving me the adequate risk reward ratio unless price retrace all the way to this point. So if price retrace all the way to that point, then yeah, can they start looking at the possibility of maybe 120 pips, which would make sense. And then last but not the least is going to be gold. So for gold, we are going to be looking out for a buy structure when US dollars becomes very, very weak. But currently, I think there may be some pullback, some kind of pullback. There's going to be some kind of pullback at some point. I can draw this. I can draw this right here. Okay. So we expect price to come all the way to this point for gold, but it's not going to just go there just like that. It's going to be making some pullback at some point. So for me, the bullish has actually started, and then you expect that price should correct that move to the upside. So it may first get all the way to this area, that zone, and then do some kind of correction that will push back most inside this area. So when we get to see this, we want to start looking for the possibility of taking that, long trade. And you don't want to miss this for anything, because if that happens, you are most likely going to be missing out from a potential over 1,000 pips, about 1,500 pips. So we'll be riding that, that for a very long time. We'll be riding that. So if price drops to this point or to somewhere around here, then we want to take that trade. As a matter of fact, this is already giving us a possibility of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To possibly this one, the 3 has not been completed yet. It may get to this area, then pulling back, and then after that we can then start looking at price continuing. So that's going to be it for this week. Just like I said, I'm just going to be analyzing the US dollar related pairs, and then those are the ones that I want to be taking my trade with when I get the signals for using the currency strength meter that I have designed or developed for my own personal trading. And then so like I said, there's going to be much more information that will be posted in the group regarding the copy trade services that will be commencing very soon. And then there's going to be a pre-launch phase. That pre-launch phase, only just few people will start. And then after that, when everything is fully functional, then all necessary information will be posted in the channel and in the group. So you guys have a very wonderful trading experience this week. And then we'll see you next week. Bye for now.